Accents are probably one of the most vital parts of the sensory experience that we have with speech processing in particular. And that's why places like this, a contact centre, are really been stuck between a rock and a hard place, I think, in terms of trying to delight a customer that calls in, because they have no other aspect of sensory experience. They don't have any visual clues. They don't have anything at all. They don't know the person that they're speaking to on the telephone.
Emoji. Oh, sorry, don't think of an orange monkey. I did ask you not to do that. I don't know why that slide is there. I do apologise, he shouldn't be there. Right, so as I said yesterday, Spock was right. It's not logical. Branding is not logical. Personal branding isn't logical. But it works. Emotion comes from the French word émouvoir, which means to stir up. So, emotions, as I explained yesterday, are all subconscious. We don't know that we're feeling them until we feel them. And then once we feel them, we can engage with them. And so the purpose of your personal brand is to engage with the customer or the potential customer at the emotional level.
And what I'd like to do before I do anything else is introduce my co-host for today. He's over here, and his name's Brian. If you're ahead of the game, you'll understand why he's called Brian. But Brian doesn't say an awful lot. He won't be saying very much to you today, but he thinks an awful lot. In fact, he thinks all of the time. And he thinks about business, and he thinks about buying things from people like you, companies that you own, companies that you're involved in. Brian is your customer. Being a bit sexist, because it could be Bryony, and she could be your customer. I suggest to you that marketing the old way is dead. And it was actually Professor Philip Kotler that said in his latest book the very same thing. The old way is dead. The 4 Ps, as I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know, is not a model that works anymore. Some bright spark a few years back added a 5th P, people. But that hasn't really made any difference. I know someone else that added a 6th P, performance. But that didn't make any difference. I know someone else that added profit. And you just wonder how many times can you be peed upon before you realise that it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Most copy is dull or boring or irrelevant. But this copy that I'm talking about usually consists purely of facts and figures, data. And I think the more technological your business is, the more it tends to be full of facts and figures and data. And hey, you know, if your Gerber machine has got 10 more Ninja Wheel Boggett springs than your nearest competitor, that could be interesting at some stage. But that isn't what's going to make me buy from you. And that kind of copy is going to be what makes me buy from you. Branding is one of the most misunderstood subjects of any business. And I've worked for the biggest. I've worked for Virgin. I've worked for BT, Yellow Pages. I've worked for Barclays. I've worked for pretty much the top 10 global companies. And the number of people that understand what branding is really all about, in even those companies, you could probably count on the finger of one finger. They do not know. They think it's about technology and CRM systems and all of this kind of stuff, when actually branding is only about one thing, and that's psychology. And if you don't understand a little bit of psychology, and incidentally, most marketing courses never teach psychology. I don't get that at all, but they don't. But that's what branding is all about, psychology. What about quality? Oh, I'm sure all of you in your business say, we're quality, we offer quality. Well, of course you do, don't you? Whoever says we offer bad quality? But what does quality mean? It's a meaningless word, because you can only understand quality if you compare it to something else. but nobody compares it to anything else, they're stupid enough to just say, we offer quality. Well, so does everybody. And what about value? Good value. We provide good value. What does value mean? Absolutely nothing. Meaningless. Because it's a comparative word. You have to compare it with something else before you understand what it is that you're talking about. By then, you've switched off.